I'm Greg Fossilman Raymer. While we generally advocate playing a tight, aggressive style of poker where you should be opening pots for a raise and looking to make the most of your premium hands, there are times when other styles of play can be profitable. This is especially true when you are deep stacked and you want to see a lot of cheap flops in either the early or middle stages of a tournament, which is why we're going to spend this lesson talking about small ball poker. Small ball poker refers to a general tournament philosophy that holds it's better to play a large number of small to medium-sized pots rather than a small number of large pots, especially when your chip stack is deep enough to allow you to afford some small losses along the way. The advantages of a small ball style are that it allows you to grab more than your share of the dead money, especially the blinds and antes, while at the same time minimizing your risk of going broke in a single hand. And because you're playing more hands with a wider variety of holdings, small ball keeps your overall range fairly wide, making you more difficult for your opponents to read. Now that you understand the basic concept behind small ball poker, let's look at how you play this style. In small ball, you're going to open raise, or sometimes even limp, with a wide range of hands. You're also going to flat call a lot of raises instead of re-raising, even with very good hands, in an effort to control the size of the pot before the flop. After the flop, you'll be making a large number of small feeler-type bets that should allow you to win more than your share of pots, especially when no one has much of anything. Remember, though, you're also going to lose a number of pots when your opponent plays back at you, but in theory, those pots should be fairly small. And when you finally do play a big pot, you'll be holding a big hand. For example, let's say you're in middle position with a hand like King 10 suited, and an opponent has raised in front of you. While this isn't a great hand, it is one that you'd be happy to call a raise and take a flop with if you're playing small ball. If you hit any part of the hand on the flop, say second pair on the flop of Queen 10-4, you're going to want to make a small feeler bet if you're the first to act. If you can take the pot there, or your opponent just calls, you're happy either way because you're still controlling the action and the size of the pot. Now, if your opponent raises when you bet out, you have to reevaluate the strength of your hand and then either call or fold, depending upon your assessment. If your opponent bets out before you act, you can certainly call with your hand in the hope of improving on the turn or the river, or you can fold if you think you're too far behind. In either case, your goal is to try to keep the pot small, even when your hand is probably the best hand, and only play big pots when you have a monster. Remember, you're going to lose pots when you play small ball, but your goal is to keep those pots as small as possible. Another thing to remember about small ball is that you can't do it all the time. As the average stack size shrinks to where everyone is in the shove or re-shove level, you're going to have to adjust your game to compensate. Now, this is also true if you become short-stacked, since you won't be able any longer to afford to just call and play flops.